Hello, Needham, and welcome to What's My House Worth, recently voted the best show that no one's really watching. What do you think of that?
Are they voting?
I guess so. I think a few people are probably watching. My name is Rob Tickton. This is Ryan McDonald. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate. We are a design build company. We are also realtors. Today's show, we are going to focus on the month of August, Ryan.
That's right.
A busy month, actually.
Yeah.
So why don't we just take a peek at the big numbers before diving into the sales on an individual basis. And Ryan, as we look at the sales data, 35, I would say that's a healthy number for the month of August, wouldn't you?
It is healthy, although last August we had 55 sales, so it's a little bit down from 2015.
But last August was bonkers.
Yeah, true. But our prices are up. So both our average list price and our average sale price is both over $1 million, whereas last year they were both under $1 million. The numbers, Rob, that aren't great though are our selling prices as percentages of our list and original list. The 95.8, that's got to be the lowest number we've seen in the many years of doing this show, Rob.
But Ryan, I feel like we warned that this was coming in previous episodes.
We did.
Wouldn't you say?
Right. So
it's not news to us.
It's not news to us. I mean, this is a product of simply people getting aggressive with their original prices because of the kind of the perception that the real estate market is so strong, and it is, but that still doesn't give you a license to go out there and price your house out of its own market.
Right.
But still, I mean, we like to see that number up over 97, and it's usually there, but not this month. So our average sale price per square foot, $345. That's also down a bit. It's down considerably from last year. It was $366, and even down from last month at $356. So that's coming down a little bit. And our average days on market is creeping up. So 42, while that's really still historically a very strong number for turning a listing into a sale, it's still higher than we've seen in recent times, and higher than last year in August was 35.
I think some of these numbers that you're talking about, indicative, as we know, the month of August, and when you see sales, usually reflective of the end of the spring market, so perhaps people just trying to get their houses to sell before the doldrums of summer. So, and with that in mind, as we look at the last 6 months, as you might expect, since August sales reflect late spring market sales, you would expect the trend to start to come down a little bit. June, always kind of the peak there. But again, 35, significantly less than last year, but as we'll see here on the next slide, in relation to previous years, 35 sales actually seems to be right about where it's supposed to be.
Right. So last year's 55 was obviously an anomaly when you look at the trailing 6 years.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We ready?
Yeah. Sure. Let's go.
All right. We're gonna go sale by sale, house by house. So go ahead and get your pen and paper ready. Get ready to take some notes. And our first stop on this train is 544 Great Plain Avenue. Ryan.
Yeah, Rob. This one is. Had a couple price drops until finally going under agreement after 75 days. It ultimately was listed at $589.9 when it went under agreement. What I liked a lot about this listing, Rob, were the directions. The directions said take 95 to Great Plain Ave.
I guess that means it's accessible to the highway.
Well, it's kind of right near I think the Hazels section of Great Plain Ave. But it kind of calls the question, like, are the directions really even necessary anymore? I mean, everybody's plugging in to GPS at this point.
Right, time for MLS to maybe update some things.
Yeah, I think it's becoming obsolete.
Right, maybe put the coordinates.
Yeah, you could do that.
Something
okay.
like that.
You get your sextant out and work with that?
Pardon me?
Moving on.
So next up, what do you think about the Welcome to Needham lifestyle on that listing sheet?
I mean that can mean a lot of different things. I guess it is an entry level home to Needham, so maybe that's the gist of the tagline. But yeah, I'd be curious as to other people's interpretation of the Needham lifestyle. It's always interesting. We can do a whole show on that.
Get some interesting answers, I bet, depending on who you ask. Next up, 275 Broadmeadow Road. This house sells for $550,000, quite a bit off the original list, but didn't take too long to sell, Ryan, just under 2 months. Yeah,
and this one has sort of an unexpected in-ground pool in the back. Didn't see it coming walking up to the house, and then even walking into the house, and then the backyard is sort of tiered, and then there it was. This one, I think, it's right next to the Gulf Station on Broadmeadow. It's sort of down by the end of Broadmeadow where it meets Great Plain, and it didn't have a first floor bathroom, which I think might be
a deterrent.
A deterrent,
right.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go.
Although if you're gonna have a bathroom on one floor, you probably want it on the second floor.
Agreed.
Next up, 227 Central Avenue. No problems here about having bathrooms on the right floor because it's a ranch.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully they don't have a bathroom on the second floor.
Right.
So this one's a 20,000 square foot lot on Central. 17 days on market. Possible candidate for redevelopment, Rob?
Yeah. L-shaped.
Yeah.
195 Valley Road is the next listing. We're going to the Valley, Ryan.
We are.
You want to go down there?
Here
Check
you go.
things out? Okay.
You got another nice size lot, 11,000 square feet plus. Valley. This is the part of Valley that kind of goes along 128.
Yep.
So, but a lot of opportunities down there to get in the sixes. This is one of them. Some of these houses have been redeveloped. There's a lot of activity going on in the Valley, but so we'll keep our eyes on this one.
Right, and you talk about getting into Needham in the sixes, and we're going through quite a few houses that actually enter Needham in the sixes. At least 6 as I look ahead here.
Okay.
So that's a good sign as far as the entry-level market is concerned. Hillcrest Road, we've seen a lot of action on Hillcrest Road this summer, through the summer.
Okay.
And 184 Hillcrest sells for $640. Again, a steep discount here from the original list.
Yeah, and we're seeing why we came in at 95.8 as a percentage of original list.
Yeah, we're going to blame Hillcrest Road for that?
Yeah, well, there's one down the line that might hold some of that, some of the responsibility too. But Hillcrest Road, this is a tricky one. It's a 17,000 square foot lot, which if you say to me, hey, I can get you into Broadmeadow on a 17,000 square foot lot, and you're going to pay in the sixes, you would probably think I was crazy.
I would.
But this one it's a wide lot, so it's not necessarily deep, and it's also sloped to the rear, and it is right directly across the street from the water tower. So I think that's part of it, and that's why this probably tough to price. So I think all in all, for 1,300 square feet, it's probably priced. It probably sold at where it should have sold. It was difficult to value given its choice location, and it's a good sized lot. So it's hard to value that water tower.
And when you're that close to the water tower, what does that mean for water pressure?
It's not very good, Rob. So you might want to think about a booster if you don't already have one.
Good piece of information there. 29 Dawson Drive is next up. Staying in the sixes, this one lands right in the middle of those sixes, sells for $650.
Yeah, this one, Rob, is right at the corner of Dawson and Dunbarton Road, and it's also positioned right at the bottom of a pretty good hill. And having some experience in that neighborhood, I've seen. I don't know if you all remember the storms of March of 2010.
Who can forget, right?
Who can forget? But I remember watching water just pouring down the hill right into the back of this property. So
Yikes.
That's something that the new owner hopefully is aware of. I think this may be a candidate to be redeveloped, and I'm sure they're going to take some protective measures against that, but it was a waterfall.
Right. This assuming, of course, that it ever does rain again.
Right.
693 Greendale Avenue, heading over to Greendale.
Staying in the sixes.
Staying in the sixes. Sells for $670. This is a tidy little deal, just $15,000 less than list, and sells in 26 days.
Yep, and this one is really right across the street from the proposed development site of the Greendale Mews. So that's probably a factor, because you are getting a lot of square feet, Rob, for $670. But the location is certainly a factor in that deal.
Not to be confused with Greendale is Glendale Road. That's 89 Glendale Road is our next listing. Sells for $675. Good price, Ryan, for that neighborhood. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would, Rob. I mean, it's a 10,000 plus square foot lot. The neighborhood is really very desirable. This one, it goes to, it tells you that there's a private sewer.
Yeah, does that scare you?
But, well, no, not,
Maybe
not
scare's not
necessarily.
right the word, but
But then it goes on to say that the buyer is responsible for connecting, which I was a little bit confused about.
so it won't be private for long.
Right. So I mean, there are some parts of town still that are on septic systems, but as on its own, no, it's not a large deterrent, but it's just one thing to be aware of.
Some might call the next listing an Olin Woods location. I wouldn't, but it's close. It's borderline. 9 Alden Road. This one is, you got to go down.
Yeah,
right? It's not through Olin Woods to get
for
there.
the life of me, the first thing I would do when I got my deed as the new owner of this house
Make it a pilgrim
is try to get it to be a pilgrim address, because it's you can't access it from Alden Road.
Right.
So Alden Road dead ends, and you have to basically walk through the woods to get to this house. But if you're ordering a pizza, or an Uber or anything.
You're just saying go to Pilgrim Road. I'm at the end of it.
Right, and how tired of that would you get after 15 minutes?
I'd
want a new address.
I don't think anybody. I can't imagine one person who would have a problem with them changing their address to a Pilgrim
Well,
Road.
maybe the Pilgrims don't want people from all different.
Or maybe there's a quota on the street and it's already been met.
I don't know, but I would live there approximately 10 minutes before I started to do that.
Interesting. All right, well, we'll see. It's like the 666 Webster Street that got changed to 668 Webster Street. Some things just should be done.
Yep.
And this is one of them.
Yep.
But a big lot, not a lot of usable.
Right. It's over an acre, but it's largely conservation.
All right. Over a little bit closer to 128, 127 Annette Road is our next listing. We're staying in the sixes, Ryan.
Yeah.
690.
Right, and here come the square footage police.
Uh-oh.
I mean, public record here is 1908. This one is at 2776. It's a pretty good size discrepancy.
But
source is the owner. It's probably lower level involvement.
yes.
But we also start out in the sevens. You end up at 690, which is probably more reflective of a house that's under 2,000 square feet than over.
Right. Okay. I appreciate you keeping an eye on square footage, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you know your role.
Right.
And you do
I have
it well.
one job.
You do it well. 491 Webster Street is the next listing, and it's time to get into a little bit of Red Riding, Ryan.
There you go.
And I'm not naive. I'm not just falling for the, whoa, this was on for $899 and it sold for $700,000. Like, that must be a great deal. I do think it was overpriced coming out of the gate.
Sure.
What I did really like about this house was it's a lot of space, just about 3,000 square feet, 5 beds, 2 baths, and it's in a location that I like. It's close to town. Some might say walk to town.
Yeah.
And
Definitely walk to the Heights.
certainly walk to the Heights. You walk to the Heights and walk to town.
Right. Not at the same time, though.
Right, but the one drawback, and I think what scared away a lot of buyers with this listing was the fact that it's a much, much, much older home, and needed probably a lot of work in order to kind of bring it up to snuff and to modernize it. So I think that probably scared away a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think if you have the patience and, more importantly, the money and the time, I think it could be really brought up to be a really nice home, and you could invest $300,000 and you would all day long have $1 million home. You think it's more than that? You think it's more than 300?
I mean, this is probably the first of our 50+ episodes where I don't think you and I are on the same page with the deal of the month.
Hey, that's your prerogative, Ryan.
Yeah, I think
and you're fired.
Right. This house was built in 1850. It was added on to multiple times, but it doesn't look like any since the 80s. And I just think you have a whale of a job.
You got a lot of work cut out for you?
It's just very, very. It was very choppy, and you're walking through rooms to get to rooms. The laundry room was in the middle of the second floor on carpet. But so I think you just have a lot of work to do here. So
all right.
We'll see how that went. And this one, I believe, is going to be flipped.
It will be. So we'll be able to follow up on this. Maybe we can do a flashback. But most importantly, I'm just getting excited to get to your deal of the month so I can have some words about that. 17 Prince Street is our next listing. It's we're in a Ladder Street location. Do I have the wrong address? No, I do. 17 Prince Street.
Okay.
Sells for $725. This was a house. On paper, a great price just because the location's so good, but you're looking at a house that needs quite a bit of work, and that's why it sells for $725.
Yeah, I mean, there's got great upside here. Like you mentioned, it's a Ladder Street. You're going to put some money into it, but nice little colonial, good little deal.
Yeah, over in Olin Woods, legit Olin Woods, 76 Carroll Road. This house sells for $755. Originally on the market for $800. One of the best values in Needham, Ryan. You think so?
Yeah.
You can be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
you were with my deal of the month.
Right. I don't know that it's an overwhelming value. I think it's probably a fairly priced home.
Right.
So it doesn't have a garage. It's a nice lot. I think it fits.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's a nice deal.
39 Broad Meadow Road sells for $769. It was also priced at $769.
Yeah,
and it is just on the market in 4 days. Very quick sale here.
A large one-level house too.
Yeah.
2,200 square feet for single level. That's pretty good size. A good lot, $10,890. Also an in-ground pool and nice location.
One floor living, Ryan.
Yep.
Aging in place.
There you go.
We're big fans. 301 Warren Street is next up. We both had a chance to walk by this house and
through it.
And through it. Share driveway here.
Yeah.
And you walk through this house and you're like, okay, this is move-in condition, but kind of the closer you you look, you realize maybe it needs a little bit more that meets the naked eye.
Yeah, I think the more I walked through it, the more I got that feeling, Rob. There's a lot of creaks, a lot of squeaks. Nice looking house, and it was well finished, and it just. But I think you're right. I think it had. You may have some work to do on the stuff that nobody likes spending money on.
Yeah, which is in my case everything.
Right, and the shared driveway.
Yeah, I know. 41 grand over ask. Over list.
I know.
Nothing to sneeze at there.
There's nothing to sneeze. I mean, great location. There's a lot to like about it.
Yes.
I just, I get hung up on certain things.
Right.
And that's a buy.
A shared driveway is one of them.
Yeah, that's definitely one of them.
117 Grosvenor Road is the next listing. Sells
Nice job.
Thank you. Sells for $825. 2-car tandem garage. What do you think about the tandem garage?
I would take a 2-car tandem garage before
over a shared driveway.
Yes, over a shared driveway. There's so many houses in Needham where the garage is essentially a shed. It's unusable. So to have 2-car garages is huge.
Or to have a 1-car it can also serve as a shed because you can put everything behind the 1 car.
Right. So big lot here, just under 14,000 square feet. Brick front facade, back is not brick, which I thought was, I don't know, interesting. But I don't know why, but just a note, because they made a point of showing a picture of the
back of the
rear
house.
elevation, and it looks like a totally different house. So it was just interesting for me.
Maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah.
512 Chestnut Street is a good-looking house, Ryan.
It is.
I like the way it looks on the street, and
It's majestic.
It is. It's got a little bit of a majestic quality. That's a good call. Sells for $825. Was on the market for $809. So clearly a lot of interest in this one when it came on the market.
Yeah. It sold in 2008. For some reason I remembered it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it sold for $620 in 2008. So they've done a little bit of work since then, but still, it's a nice appreciation for that owner. The square footage is this is an example of where it's properly disclosed throughout on the listing sheet. It's very straightforward. The public record has it at 1974, and they have it at 2286, but it's spelled out appropriately. So
got it. 26 George Agate next up. This is off of Needham Avenue. Pretty popular neighborhood. We see some houses go in this area.
Yeah.
Quiet Street, got the train kind of in the mix a little bit over there, but it sells for $847.
Yeah, and this one sold last year for $775, and the owner didn't. To me, it didn't look like they did anything to it. They just timed it really well. So this one, even though and it was originally listed last year at $859, so this one sells this year at $847 when the owner bought it less than 12 months ago for $775. So that's. Doesn't usually work that way.
No.
So that worked out.
In this market, it can. We're climbing up closer to $1 million. We're not there quite yet. 20 Greendale Avenue sells for $900,000. Pretty wide for a backup generator, Ryan. I mean, that's on the listing sheet.
It is. It's
Yeah,
helpful.
Whatever.
It's
different. We don't see it all the time. That's why I put it on there.
Yeah, and they also were offering their portable generator as potentially part of the deal. So that's a feature. I guess if you've got something, feature it.
Right. So but if you're looking at 20 Greendale Avenue that sells for $900, and you look at the next listing, which is 15 South Street, that's on the corner of South Street and Old Farm, and that sells for $900,000.
Yep.
Which one are you buying?
I mean, they're totally different houses.
Of course they are.
I would buy. I'm buying South Street.
So am I.
And the main reason is, first of all, you can. If you wanted to, there's a lot of things you could do. You could make it an Old Farm address for one.
Yep.
And you could reorient it to Old Farm, but that would obviously involve most likely redeveloping the house. But just a different style of home. The split level at Dell versus this is more of a ranch at.
Showed well though.
Yeah, and I think you could add a second floor. You can do a lot of things with South Street. That's probably my choice.
Big lot too, 19,600 square feet.
Agreed.
Closer to town, 66 Grant Street. This house came on the market, and it was a summer listing, and I guess it was June it came on, and got a ton of activity.
Yep.
I mean, people were all over this. It was walk to town, listed in the 8s, 4 beds, 2.5 baths. So. I wasn't surprised at all that it climbed up to $910. With that being said, I still thought it was a good deal for the seller.
Me too.
But
especially with only having casual heat in the basement den.
Right. So it's nice, not bad. I had to look at that one for a second because formal's so much better.
Right.
You just feel like you're paying for it. 14 Long Acre Road is the next listing. Sells for $940. on the
yeah.
market for $899.
Yeah, you got
Seems like a big price.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have it, and it's an expanded Cape, so it's been updated. Only 3 beds, but it has a master bath. And the one thing that struck me as odd when I was walking through that house is there's this area off the kitchen where there isn't anything. You know, it's like not like even on the way to something. It's just kind of there. And I'm just wondering what the functionality was. I'm thinking in my head maybe it could be like a where little kids could play, or you could put like a dog bed in that area. But it was begging for something to be done with it, but there wasn't really anything that was jumping off the page.
Sounds like a good spot for a timeout. 24 Holland Road is next up. Walk to town location.
Walk to high school.
Desirable spot. On the market for $1 million, sells for $1 million, and you get an annual block party to boot.
Yeah, but the bad news is you have to work the grill.
Yeah.
Which is never what anybody wants to do with the block party.
Right.
But nice location, as you mentioned. This is one of those trifecta houses where you can walk to 3 schools. I think you're walking to Pollard, you walk into high school, and you're walking to Mitchell.
Can we start calling those trifecta homes?
Okay.
Trifecta homes. A home that you can walk to.
3 schools.
Right. Pollard, Mitchell, Pollard, the high school.
Yeah.
That's a trifecta home.
All right.
All right.
So, I mean, this one got a lot of buzz, too. Remember, it was, had a
Yeah.
lot of pre-listing buzz.
Yeah.
It was like there was a lot of anticipation. Like, ooh, when's 24 Holland coming on?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's priced right, went quick. Needs some work, though, a little bit updating.
bit, not much.
Some cosmetics, perhaps.
All right, next up, 1024 Greendale Avenue. This one is on the market for $1,275, sells for $1,099, and just seems like it was a well-negotiated transaction.
Sure.
Next up is 7 Ardmore Road, and Ryan, as I look at this listing, I see some red writing. Oh, all right, it's your deal of the month. Let's hear why. I got some thoughts.
This one, I just thought it was a nice house. It's built in 2003. It's on a 15,000 square foot lot. It's had one owner, and getting it for under 1.3 when there's just, I think that the buyer is getting into this house at a pretty good price. I mean, the 2003, I mean, maybe you can update some cosmetics, Rob, but I mean, I just think you're getting a good deal under 1.3 for this much house.
No, I see that. I mean, the garage under, when you have a tendency to have water get in there, it scares me away a little bit. But if it's your deal of the month,
and in fairness, it was noted that they did have a water problem years back that has been corrected, as I understand it.
Okay.
So maybe that has something to do with, because it does scare people away when you hear the word water. So that could have an
adverse effect on the price.
Right, but if you're someone that's comfortable with it and is comfortable the problem is solved, then you've gotten yourself value.
Yeah, right. Except when you go to sell it, then you have to all of a sudden be on the other side of it.
Also true.
102 Webster Street sells for $1,285. Was on the market for $1,325. Excellent walkability.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
Lot sold for $525.
Okay, that's noteworthy.
Sure.
66 Thornton Road. This should be an asterisk on this one, Ryan. Our office involved with this transaction, so don't gush over it too much. But go ahead.
I mean, we represented the buyer, and I think it was a great little timing deal, because the house, when it went on the market, it didn't show particularly well, and it was mostly because the seller had just really a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge sometimes for sellers who are working at home, which this one was, who had a lot of interests that were represented through the house, but it changed the way that the house showed, and I think that caused it to maybe miss the height of the spring market a little bit, and sit for a while, and then the timing was right for the buyer to go in and get themselves a pretty good deal.
All righty. 42 Cedar Springs Lane is next up. Sells for $1,357,500. It's on the market for $1,459. Built in the 90s, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, we walked through this, Rob. We both, I think, thought it was maybe priced aggressively. Again, you're seeing another contributor to our 95.8 as a percentage. 31,000 square foot lot, though. So there's that.
Was 111 Galen Road a candidate for deal of the month for the seller for you?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's 4,000 square feet, but it just, I thought that price, it struck me. I did a double take on that one.
Yeah.
All right, next up. What do we got next, Ryan?
50 Edward L, Rob.
Very good.
This one, builder bought the lot for $750, selling it for $142. That's tight.
Yeah.
Rob. This one is on Edward L, which is a great street, but it's on the side of the road where it has a steep decline in the back, which had to be leveled, which cost some money, which is making it even tighter. And on top of that, you do get a pretty good hum off of 128 from this location.
Yes, you do.
So that one, I think it's a nice house. It's probably just a tight deal for that developer.
Okay, getting into new construction here, 52 Kimball Street, new construction and walk to town.
Yes, for sure.
This one is just about 4,800 square feet and a little bit of debris there in the front yard, but I'm sure they've gotten that cleaned up.
Right.
17 Deerfield Road is up next. Goes on for 1.6. Again, we're seeing some of these houses that have these pretty steep reductions, and that's what I think you were talking to at the very beginning of the show when you said that the percentage of sale as a percentage of original list was off. And here's a prime example. Wouldn't you agree? It
is. I mean, I think we both saw this one again at 1.6, and I like it a lot better at 1.465. I think that if you're that buyer, you're very happy. Nice house, but 1.6 was maybe just a little aggressive. Corner lot, so it didn't have a lot of usable outdoor space, but 1.465 works. 153
Tudor Road is our second to last in terms of getting to the big seller, and this one sells for 164. Interesting though, square footage wise, 4,600 square feet. I mean, that's not a ton of square footage for a pretty good sales price.
Right. I mean, I think location here is a key. This is a nice Broadmeadow neighborhood, 14,000 square foot lot. Also a factor.
Oh yeah, we have two more.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's okay.
I misspoke.
That's all right.
Thank you for not correcting me, like you did on the deal of the month. 10 Stonecrest Drive is up next, sells for 195. This was priced in the twos. We see a lot of houses all of a sudden in Needham priced in the twos, so this is one that goes away.
Right. This one was reduced several times. It was on in 2014. Reduced several times, also over twos. This is, a stretch for $2 million.
All right, and now we're at the big seller, 41 Woodworth Road, sells for 2.6.
Yeah, and this is our primary contributor to driving down the percentage.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a $500,000 spread between almost $600,000 between your original list and your sale price. And the $3 million mark is tough to crack. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this is a nice house, and you're not taking anything away from it. When you hear that it dropped its price essentially $500,000, it's still a very nice house, and it's selling for 2.6. So that's a good deal.
It's not doing August any favors in terms of the numbers.
No, it's just barreling through the curve.
Right. Okay. Market snapshot. Take a look at how how kind of September is sitting and kind of going forward, and we still have a little bit more on the market than last year, but it seems like we're a little bit closer to the mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, we're not looking at drastic numbers of inventory. I mean, 77 active single-family listings versus 65 a year ago. Yeah. Most of those are towards the higher end of the scale. So it'll be interesting to see how those get absorbed in the coming months. I think that the number that here, if we're going to focus on anything, Rob, is the 115 days. So what's been on the market, it's been on the market for a little while, and that's up from 92 at this time last year. So.
All right, and I like that average list price per square foot, $341. Yep. Ryan, anybody wants to contact us, how would they go about doing that?
It's very easy, Rob. Give us a call, 781-707-6564, or you can email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com. And always you can follow us on Twitter. It's very interesting stuff out there. That's Hawthorne. It's at Hawthorne_WMHW.
All right. So any real estate related questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But that'll do it for this month's episode. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon.
Right on.